extremely valuable images that they took from the bottom of the ocean. I think that it was for drilling rigs, were missing. They came to me and said, can you tell us where are these files and where they got stolen? And I couldn't answer it. And it was just a moment for me that I understood how critical data is, how fast data is going to grow, but that we need to treat data the same way that we are managing the money in our bank account. And this was the genesis of me thinking about Varonis, thinking about what we need to do in order to protect the world's data. Well, 2 decades later, organizations that don't have a data security platform like ours are still wrestling with the same problem, but at a massive scale. And all of this is happening while we have the most data-hungry force we ever saw at scale with the AI revolution. The data security problem became an AI security problem. And this is something that we need to realize in order to manage this constant tension between security and productivity. So folks, I have a quick question. Raise your hand if your company or organization is restricting AI tools in some way. Almost everyone, and I'm sure the people that didn't raise their hands, they're just shy. The reality is that Copilot and ChatGPT are tremendous tools, and all of these AI tools, but your company is afraid to lose control over their data. In Varonis, we perform thousands of AI risk assessments every year, and I have a front row seat to the biggest data breaches in the world. And today, without a doubt, the data is in much more risk than ever, and it's growing by the minute. Why is that? It's starting from the fact that bad actors are not breaking in, they are logging in. So when cybercrime gang hacked the MGM casino, and you can understand that they have very good cybersecurity team, they didn't use anything that is sophisticated. What they have done, they tricked the help desk. And this is a pattern that you will see in most data breaches. Attackers using sophisticated social engineering in order to compromise an identity, or they are buying an identity on the dark web. They log in and they exploit the user permissions, and many times now they're using AI chatbots in order to steal data. And the liability is endless because the blast radius is large. What is the blast radius? If you will go to any identity or user in your organization, and if you don't have the means to remediate excessive access in an automated way, I will bet my pinky that over 90% of the data that this identity can access is not relevant for this identity. So now think about it. If I compromised your identity, how much data I can access and how much critical data I can find. And the liability is endless because this blast radius is so large, and AI make the data security problem much more urgent and much more complex. How and why? Think about that. We are the last generation of people that are going to manage an all-human workforce. By the time that I'm going to end this talk, millions of new agents will be created. When these agents go online, these non-human identities, they can be compromised. The more data agents can access, these agents becoming more effective, but what also? more riskier. And this happens every time that you are creating an agent. The velocity is like nothing we saw before. The other thing, by design, the agent is using all the available data for it. So I will explain what it means, and this is critical to understand to secure your data and use AI in a secure way. So I see so many co-pilot deployments. Usually they stop. Why? 90% of the data that you can access is not relevant for you, but you don't know about it. In the first time you are doing a query with Copilot, Copilot goes like a Pac-Man from hell, calls all the potential access, take all the information and bring it to you. And then also summarize creating data completely outside of policy. This is what happens when any time you're creating an agent. It takes this huge blast radius and maximize it to inhale the data and create additional data outside of policy. This is by design. And these robots, they don't have accountability and they don't have consciousness. So what happens when the robots wake up one day and decide to delete a production database? Well, and then lie about it, by the way. We don't need to guess. It happened. Okay, this is what happened to Jason Lemkin. His coding agent ignored instructions not to touch a production database when they had a code freeze. Eventually, the agent admitted that he did a catastrophic mistake and apologized that he was ignoring the founder's instructions. Remember what we have now. Agents are calling more agents. It's a technology. It's not taking a life of its own, but it follows instructions, and many times, this is what I see, like this is what I'm doing for a living, you don't know what instruction these agents are getting. So there was no hacker behind this incident, just a rogue AI. Now imagine what will happen to a multi-trillion-dollar cyber industry when they are going to use to weaponize these AI tools across all the kill chain. So I want to walk you through a few examples that we see every day on the front lines. As we said, attackers are not breaking in anymore. They are hacking trust. This is how they get in. They use tools like WormGPT to generate targeted spear phishing campaigns that are extremely accurate at a tremendous scale. They can easily mimic the tone of someone you trust. This is how it works. And it's not just limited to email. You have all these vibe coding tools that allow bad actors to quickly build pages that look exactly like websites that you trust. This is happening every single day. They are hosted on legitimate domains, and most of the security tools will not block them. There is no threat intelligence, and they look exactly one-to-one like something that you trust completely. When was the last time you heard about an attack that malware was installed on the computer? It almost never happens. I can say without losing a heartbeat that most of us, if not all of us, got a phishing email or a text this week, most probably today. So finding sensitive data also has never been so easy for attackers and insiders. And we say they just need to use Copilot and go to work. Go to Copilot and ask them about password, about credentials, PII, how much the CEO is making. And the other thing that you will see, after you get critical information, it intrigues you. It takes a legitimate person and make them an insider. You're starting to get a lot of data. They summarize a lot of information. Think about it today, how much effort you need in order to read 1,000 critical files. But what happened when you ask Copilot to do it for you? This is tremendous risk. So chatbots quickly expose information employees didn't know that they can access. And attackers love to exploit human emotion. But they also love to exploit AI desire to follow instructions. This is what these agents do. Look at this PDF. Looks completely benign. But if you look closer, you see that there is a hidden prompt, ask for a document summary, and many prompt injections are zero-click. If I put this PDF in your inbox, and then your AI tool is going to crawl your email, I can give your agent instruction and take your agents and create and turn it into a double agent. I'm doing it like that. Just by instructions. No security tool in the world will understand that this happened throughout the stack. The endpoint, the modern firewall, they are completely blind to this attack. Folks, this is the future. Actually, this is the present. This is what happens now as we speak. So, by now, you figure out that I'm an optimist. So yes, there is challenges, and there is data to protect, and the data is all over the place, and the attackers have many AI tools in their disposal, but thankfully, the glass is much more full than empty. So we, the defenders, come empowered with AI too, and we know very, very well how to protect data. So let me just walk you. So what Varonis is doing, what are the robots we build to be 10 moves ahead of bad actors and mistakes? These are the two ways that you're losing information. Bad actors and mistakes. We will start really when all attacks today, almost all attacks are starting, and this is with deception. So this is how we use AI in a very sophisticated, extremely accurate way. So there are 3 AI techniques that are essential to detect the new breed of social engineering: NLP, computer vision, and sandboxing. Let's start with NLP. NLP analyzes, the overall topic and the tone and the intent of a message. Just detect subtle manipulation. If you look, usually in these conversations, they're always trying to trigger 2 emotions: fear or greed. But it struggles when the message is too short or too long. We use generative AI to rewrite the email, then look at the clone, look at it throughout the whole email state, and after that use it to train our models to predict future threats. The second one is that if you look at text, bad actors are trying to bypass NLP using QR code and images instead of text. This is where computer vision comes in. We analyze all the visual elements like logos and layouts to extract text embedded in the images, and this type of deception is not exclusively limited to email. So how you detect a phishing website hosted on a trusted domain? Completely trusted domain, and someone is trying to do like a phishing attack. The URL are not blacklisted, and most of the technologies in the world will not block them. We see it. We give you a threat intel, test us, we go through it like knife through butter. And you have everything, your SASE, your firewalls, your proxy, nothing. So what you need to do? To combat this, our data scientists developed the first world AI phishing sandbox. Even for trusted website, the truth is in the payload, is with your ability to take the page itself. We call hundreds of URLs a day, and then the sandbox simulates the action, clicking on links, filling forms, and if there is anything suspicious, we block it. So this is the first thing. To make sure, we want that bad actors will be as far from the data as possible. They will try to come in with deception, with social engineering. This is the first thing we want to block. Then AI shiny data classification. You want to understand what is critical. You have a lot of information. Not just understand context and keywords. You want accurate classification and label the data in a reliable way. I want to make sure that you can't access PII unless you're an HR employee. I want to make sure if my data is labeled highly confidential, that Copilot will not be able to touch it. Understanding what data is critical. But the holy grail of data security is reducing the blast radius. And this is one of the hardest things to do. Folks, if the right identities only can access the right data, you solve the lion's share of the problem. Today what happened many times is that you get information that you shouldn't get, and all the lateral movement, the way that people move from one system to the other, is by reading information. They find strings and credentials, and this is how they are doing lateral movement and giving help to organizations. So shrinking the blast radius is the holy grail, and it's very hard because we always need to manage the tension between security and productivity. If I'm blocking your email, there is a big problem. If I don't let you go to a URL that you need to go, it's a huge problem. And if I took permissions that you need to use, this is also a massive problem. So everything needs to be very accurate. So agents are powerless without data access. But how can you determine what is the right data they should access? How can you right-size the data the agents should access? We use machine learning technique that called clustering to automatically right-size permissions. Just looking at usage and the cluster extremely accurately, 99.999% accurate. It can highlight outliers and remove them, and this is robotic value proposition. This happening without you doing anything. Think about it. We're coming in, you see this exposure, we narrow it to 10% without breaking any business process. But also what we are doing, we're looking, in order to do that, the ingredient is to look at access to data records. We constantly look at access to data records to have a baseline and understand if you have deviation with activity and flows. Think about it like credit card fraud, high-end credit card fraud technology for data access. We learn what is normal, what is abnormal for human and non-human identity, and then we respond. We alert, stop, and respond. And the other thing what we have done, the way that we are using AI, it's completely agentic. We call it managed data detection and response. And our agents are handling all the first leg of every investigation and closing. Think about it, every touch for every data record. In every mid-sized organization, these are billions of events in every single day. You need to take these events to generate an alert, to understand if the alert is meaningful or not, and to close it. You need an army of people. Our robots do it. This is really robots against robots. So the robots do the heavy lifting, and humans are involved only when they need to do a decision that really matters. So we have more tools in our disposal, but hopefully with this example, we explain that this is a fight that we are already winning. So I devoted the last 2 decades to build a platform that can protect the world's data. Started in 2003. I was chasing images from the bottom of the ocean, and I understood that we need to build the right technology in order to solve it. And even then, my co-founder, Ohad, and I understood that humans cannot manage it. This is before the explosion of all the data, and now with all the AI revolution. If you don't have a platform that can take all this data to analyze it, and on top of it, to have robots that will do the whole work, you will fail. I want to leave you with something, actually 3 questions that in a scalable way, you can answer these questions every day. Your data is protected. And the first one, do I know where my critical data is? The second one, can I make sure that the right human and non-human identities can access only the data that they can access? And do I know that this data is being used in an appropriate way? When you can trust the guardrails, the adoption is accelerating. Data becoming an asset, not a source of anxiety and liability. Treat your identities, human and non-human, like you treat the perimeter in terms of security. Put the cyber defense around them and around the data. Only AI can defend against AI, but I believe that there is high probability that we can manage it in the right way, and we can reap all the rewards of these tremendous AI technologies and provide in a secure way a lot of prosperity for humanity. Thank you for the time. Thanks for the attention.
Thank you very much, Yaki. And it's lunchtime, folks. So just to let you know, lunch is being served in the kind of tent area on the other side here, the registration area. There is also the Women in AI lunch building taking place in building 41 in the gallery downstairs. We're meeting back here at 2 p.m. sharp. And at 2 p.m. our tracks 6 and 7 will also be beginning workshops that are hosted by Telecom Cloud.